All right, it's good to see you today. Welcome aboard. We've had a number of people asking about the Chiefs' three players with Tyreek Hill and Chris Jones and Patrick Mahomes getting their contract extensions, what those deals might look like, and what it might look like with all three of those players having been signed for the Chiefs moving forward into the 2020s. We've got the Mahomes video out, of course. Here in a few days, a few weeks, we'll try to put out Chris Jones video. I think the Chris Jones video by far is the most complicated of the three. It's not the biggest. The Mahomes contract will be the biggest, but I think the Chris Jones extensions and contract by far will be the most complicated. I think they'll drag on the longest. I think it'll drag off into next off season where we're probably looking at a franchise tag. At least that's my feel for what's going on, but we'll see. Nobody really knows anything about these negotiations until they actually happen, so we'll see how that actually takes place. We'll talk about that in the future. We'll also put together a video about what it might look like if the Chiefs were to sign all three players. Today, though, I want to focus on Tyreek Hill. And for him, I think the negotiations, and for the Chiefs, I think by far are the simplest of the three. If you were to ask me a few months ago at the end of the season for the Kansas City Chiefs, at the end of their run at trying to make a Super Bowl and just barely getting squeaked out by New England, how much Tyreek Hill could have made, he would have been making in this neighborhood right here. This is the rarefied air of some of the best wide receivers in the NFL. There are wide receivers, there's one on Kansas City, who make more per season, but these are the guys who have the longest contracts with the biggest overall value. So those are the guys I put on the board. At the end of last season, Tyreek Hill would have been looking at deals like this, like Michael Thomas just got for 5 years and $96 million, like Odell Beckham just got for 5 years and $90 million. Mike Evans racked up 5 years, 82. Hopkins, of course, has a 581, with Cooks having a 581. Each of these guys is living in a very fancy neighborhood now, and needless to say, they have good guaranteed money to go with it. The top four guys here, excluding Cooks, the top four guys here have guaranteed money, guaranteed at signing money of $35 to $40 million. Tyreek Hill could have been looking at that at the end of last season, negotiating that right now. Who knows if he would have got that or not, or if that would have dragged on into the next off season as well. But the spring and summer have not been kind for Tyreek Hill. Had a lot of legal troubles. I am not here today to discuss, nor do I want it really discussed on the forum, about whether or not Tyreek Hill should be on the team. For those of you who think he shouldn't even be in the NFL still, I understand that, respect that. I'm not here to discuss that today. For those of you who are on the flip side, the other end of the spectrum, and think, hey, his legal troubles are behind him, why are we even discussing this at all? I don't really want to discuss that either. I don't want to put that out there today. We're just simply talking about the money side of things and what Kansas City has for options and what Tyreek Hill honestly has for options as well moving forward. But needless to say, this is not a fiction, this is fact. Over the past few months, Tyreek Hill's value has dropped. It has plummeted. His stock, not stocking him as a person necessarily, but stocking his services, has been diluted completely. At one point during this early summer, there was even discussion about whether or not he would even be allowed back in the NFL. There was a lot of discussion about whether or not the Chiefs should hang on to him. All of that's pretty much in the past for now. Now the Chiefs have kept him. They have ridden through the rough waters with him, and these legal troubles, at least for now, are behind Tyreek Hill. So the question for the Kansas City Chiefs is, what do we do with him? We've got him for one more season under contract. Do we go ahead and try to start negotiations now? And my take on it is this: if you're going to have him on the team, whatever PR hit you're going to take, you've already taken it for having him on the team at all. So if you're going to have him on the team, you need to go ahead and start talking about signing him to money. Keep in mind, though, his chance at this kind of money, even if he were to hit the free agent market right now, his chance at this kind of money, these long-term contracts with large money and large guarantees, is gone. He will not have another chance at this, probably, I would say, for another 2 seasons. It's going to take that long, and this is not a question of Tyreek Hill's ability. We know what he can do on the football team, but because his PR has taken such a hit over the past few months, NFL teams are just not going to want to sign him to a long-term, high-guarantee contract. I've got these 4 options up here. If you're Tyreek Hill, you're thinking about this. If you're Tyreek Hill's agent, you're thinking about this. And if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you should be thinking about this as well. How many teams right now in the NFL would be completely unwilling to sign Tyreek Hill at all? rightly or wrongly, wherever you feel on the spectrum, it's a fact. There's a certain number of teams in the NFL right now who would not touch Tyreek Hill at all right now. They would offer him no contract at all, wouldn't offer him a contract a year from now, might not even offer him a contract 2 years from now, even if he stayed out of trouble and was playing well. There's a certain number of teams right now who just would not touch him at all. There's a certain number of teams in the NFL right now, a certain percentage, who would offer him a 1-year deal, and that's it. They would give him a 1-year deal. That's all he would be getting. How many teams fit in these two categories? I don't know. I don't have any insight on that, but I'm sure it's a large number of teams right now who either would offer him no deal or would only offer him a 1-year deal. You would probably find a few more teams who would be willing to give him a long-term contract, say a 5-year, $80 million contract, but the guarantee would be so low, it would be so ridiculously low, it would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $15 to $20 million. That's about all he's going to be able to get, even if he were to hit free agency right now, which he can't. He can't hit free agency until next offseason. Even then, I don't think you're going to see that change a lot. I don't think by next offseason you're going to see anybody, not one team, I don't think, if the Chiefs were to let him go without franchise tagging him next offseason, I don't think you're going to see any teams in the NFL, even next offseason, willing to give him a long-term contract like this with the big guarantees that these guys are getting. That $35 to $40 million guaranteed at signing, you're just not going to see that. It's going to be at least 2 seasons away, this season and next season, for Tyreek Hill to be playing well, to relatively stay injury-free, and to stay free of legal troubles as well before he can get back up here in this area. So if you're the Chiefs and you're thinking about that, and you're his agent and you're thinking about that, what's the best thing for Tyreek Hill? What's the best thing for Kansas City? If I'm Kansas City, rightly or wrongly, I'm already taking a PR hit for having him on the team. I'm already crossed those bridges with him. I'm going to be offering him somewhere in the neighborhood of a 3-year deal at $30 million total, with about $15 or $16 million guaranteed. That's a steal for Tyreek Hill's services. We know how good he is. We know how fast he is. We know how much he can stretch a defense. We know he can catch the football. We know he's reliable. What we don't know, if we're Kansas City, is if he's going to be available at a certain point if he gets into some more legal troubles. Now, that's not really something that you want to say out loud if you're the Kansas City Chiefs. It's not something you're going to say in public if you are Tyreek Hill's agent, but it's something you have to be thinking about. Will he be available a year from now or 2 years from now if we signed him to a long-term deal? Will he actually be available, or do we have more legal troubles to worry about? Not just from this offseason, but from things that happened in college. He now has some kind of, at least a history of, getting in this kind of trouble, and no matter how you feel about him, you can't deny that that history exists. No matter what you feel about what he has or hasn't done, or what he has or hasn't been accused of, or what he has or hasn't been set free of, that history is there, not only from college, but now this past spring or in summer, and you have to wonder, will this pop up again at some point? Will something else come up again over the next year or two that would make us regret giving him a lot of guaranteed money and create a lot of dead cap space for us going forward? Now, a lot of NFL teams have morality clauses and things of that nature which free you from those contracts, but still, again, the value on Tyreek Hill, his services, has plummeted right now. So if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you know that if you can sign him to a 2-year deal or a 3-year deal, you're going to get really good value, at least as far as his on-field play goes. So if I'm Kansas City, I'm coming up with a 3-year deal, $30 million. This would be the base salary for each season, 5, 7.5, and 7.5. This would be the signing bonus for each season, $3.5 million for each season, and the cap number for each season total together would be $8.5 million, $11 million, $11 million. If I'm Kansas City and I could get him to sign anything at all in this ballpark, even if I cut it down to a 2-year deal, or I make it a 4-year deal, or I increase the signing bonus by a couple of million, or I increase the base salary by a couple of million, if I can get him anywhere at all in this neighborhood, I am ecstatic, hoping and keeping my fingers crossed that he's not going to come into any more legal troubles or anything of that nature, is what I'm hoping. This right here is what I'd be looking for. Now, if I'm Tyreek Hill, how do I feel about this kind of deal? If I'm Tyreek Hill's agent, how do I feel about this kind of deal? Am I willing to sign off on a 3-year deal or a 2-year deal, hopefully get past another season or two without injury, get past another season or two of good play on the field, get through another season or two of clean off seasons and just good healthy off seasons, get past the next collective bargaining agreement that's coming up with the NFL, get past that, and then hopefully my stock goes way back up. I think once we get to about 2021, I think if all that holds in place for Tyreek Hill, I think his value goes all the way back up. I think very much 2 seasons from now, if he were to hit the free agent market and to get free of the Chiefs, or even if he were to sign another extension with the Chiefs at that point, I think after those 2 seasons, I think his value would be all the way back up here to where these guys are. People do forget, people do move on, but they don't do it right away. So I think this value, even if he were hit the free agent market next offseason, would stay suppressed. It would stay very much down. So if I'm Tyreek Hill's agent, I'm willing to tack on maybe another season or 2 seasons. I'm probably not going to give the Chiefs that 3rd season, but I'd love to get Tyreek Hill signed for at least $10 million a season. However it is, base salary, signing bonus, with at least half of that guaranteed for 2020 and 2021. I at least want that. Now, his agent's probably not going to be telling him, Tyreek, I think you may get in trouble again, so I'm wanting you to go ahead and sign a 2-year deal at least. But what he will be telling Tyreek is this: your value is only going to go up the longer you play for the Chiefs and the more you can stay free of legal trouble. So if I'm Tyreek Hill's agent, I'm probably going to at least encourage him to lock up something for these 2 seasons until I can get my value back boosted up again, basically get my equity boosted up again, if you want to use those terms. And I think that would be a good fit for Tyreek Hill, and the Kansas City Chiefs would certainly benefit from that a lot, from this depressed market. All right, so I think that's pretty simple. I think it's pretty cut and dry. Again, if you have comments, let me know, holler at me. I may use those comments in future videos, probably won't use your names or your handles, but I'll at least take the comments and comment on them on another video at some point in time. Thank you very much. Have an awesome week. Goodbye.